What if the real reason you become successful isn't to enjoy more, but to give more? Think about it. You work hard. You dream of building a better life. You imagine one day having more than enough: money, freedom, comfort. But when that day comes, then what? Andrew Carnegie had that day. He had more than enough. Much more. He started from nothing, a poor boy working 12 hours a day in a dark cotton factory. But before long, he became one of the richest men in the world. He had money, power, fame, everything most people want. And then he gave almost all of it away. Why? Because Carnegie discovered something powerful. Having wealth is not the end of the journey. It's the beginning of responsibility. Real wealth doesn't just change your life. It gives you the chance to change other people's lives too. He wrote a short but powerful essay called The Gospel of Wealth, not to teach people how to get rich, but to teach the rich how to live. In it, he argued something bold, something that still makes people stop and think, even today. He said, "The man who dies rich dies disgraced." To Carnegie, wealth wasn't something to be proud of unless it was used for the good of others. Keeping it all to yourself was not success, it was failure. This summary is going to show you what he meant, not just through his words, but through his life. And here's why it matters to you, even if you don't have millions. Because this isn't really a story about money, it's a story about purpose, about what it means to live a life that counts. Maybe you're not rich, not yet, but maybe one day you will be, or maybe you already have more than someone else. Either way, you have something to offer, something to build, something to leave behind. The gospel of wealth isn't about dollar signs, it's about vision. The kind of vision that turns success into significance. So if you've ever asked yourself, what would I do if I became wealthy? How can I make a difference with what I have? What will people remember me for when I'm gone? Then this message is for you. Because the truth is, you don't have to be a millionaire to start thinking like a leader, like a builder, like someone who leaves a mark. You just have to ask yourself one thing. What will I do with what I've been given? Let's begin.
The Rise of Wealth and the New World. Before we dive into Carnegie's message, we must understand the world he lived in and how that world shaped his belief that wealth must serve a purpose beyond luxury. Andrew Carnegie was born in 1835 in a small stone house in Dunfermline, Scotland. His family was poor. His father was a weaver, and his mother mended shoes. They didn't have much, but they had pride, and they believed in hard work. Still, as machines took over manual jobs, people like Carnegie's father found themselves without work, without income, and without a future. When Carnegie was 13, his family made a brave decision. They left everything behind and sailed to America, chasing a dream of survival and opportunity. But life in America was not easy at first. Carnegie's first job was in a cotton mill, working from sunrise to sunset, earning just $1.20 a week. He was a small boy, but already carrying the heavy weight of poverty. He ran errands, he changed spools, he memorized names, watched people closely, and never stopped learning. He read every book he could borrow, often from a local man who let poor boys use his personal library. That act of kindness would never leave Carnegie's heart. By the time he was in his 20s, he had moved from the telegraph office to railroads and then to steel. Slowly, he rose from messenger to manager to owner. He built an empire, and by the time he sold his steel company in 1901, he was worth over $300 million. In today's terms, that's billions. He had made it. But while others built mansions and chased fame, Carnegie was thinking deeper. He looked around at the new industrial world, filled with factories, smokestacks, and fortunes, and he saw something both exciting and dangerous. This modern age had done something strange. On one side, it had created great riches, wealth so large it was once unthinkable. On the other side, It had created deep poverty, people working long hours, living in poor conditions, with no clear path out. Carnegie called this the age of inequality, not because he hated it, but because he understood it. He believed that this gap between rich and poor was not a mistake, but a sign of progress. In older times, wealth was spread out. People worked in small farms or towns. There weren't giant businesses or powerful entrepreneurs. Everyone lived close to the same level. But that also meant there was no big progress, no large factories, no bridges, no skyscrapers, no global trade, no breakthroughs in science or medicine. Modern capitalism, Carnegie believed, was messy, but it worked. It built cities. It gave people jobs. It pushed the world forward. And yes, it gave some people more wealth than others. But to him, that was not the problem. The problem was what those wealthy people did next. Did they keep everything for themselves? Did they pass it all down to their children? Did they waste it on gold ceilings and diamond buttons? Or did they use it to build something greater than themselves? That was the real question. And that's what the gospel of wealth is really about. Not money, but meaning. Carnegie believed that those who are blessed with wealth are not truly owners. They are caretakers. Society has given them the chance to rise, and in return, they must give back. Not later, not someday, but during their own lifetime. Because to Carnegie, money that sits quietly in a bank helps no one. But money that is used with wisdom and love, that money can change the world. The three choices of the wealthy. As Carnegie looked at the world around him, he realized something very important. It's not wealth itself that's dangerous. It's what people choose to do with it. When someone becomes rich, whether through business, inheritance, or hard work, they face a decision. Carnegie believed that there are only three real ways that wealth is used in life, and only one of them, he said, is truly honorable. Let's look at each one. First, leaving wealth to your children. This is the most common path. Many people believe that when they die, they should leave all their money to their children. At first, this sounds loving and generous. But Carnegie saw the danger in it. He had watched families fall apart because of money. Children who had never worked for anything suddenly inherited huge fortunes. Some lost their way. Some wasted it. Others grew lazy, dependent, or even bitter. Carnegie believed that giving children too much could actually take away their hunger to succeed, their discipline, and their sense of purpose. He didn't say we shouldn't help our families, but he warned, don't spoil them, don't remove the gift of effort. Let them stand on their own. Let them become strong. Second, donating money after death. This is another popular choice. Many wealthy people promise to give away their money, but only after they're gone. They put it in their will or set up a fund that activates when they die. Again, this seems generous. But Carnegie believed it was a missed opportunity. He asked, why wait? Why not give while you're alive, when you can see the results, fix problems, and guide your gift toward real impact? He wrote, the man who waits to give until he is dead is selfish, because when you wait until the end, it's no longer giving. It's just a delayed duty. Someone else will carry out your wishes. You won't know if it worked. You won't learn from the process. And maybe, deep down, you waited because you didn't want to let go. Third, giving while alive. And giving wisely. This is the path Carnegie chose. He believed that wealth should be given away during your lifetime, and not randomly, but wisely and with purpose. You don't give just to make people happy for a day. You give to make them stronger for a lifetime. Carnegie often said, The best gift is not charity, it's opportunity. He didn't believe in handing out money to everyone in need. Instead, he built tools that helped people lift themselves up. Public libraries, where the poor could educate themselves, universities and schools, where knowledge would shape future leaders, music halls and cultural centers that opened minds and souls, foundations that supported science, peace, and ideas that moved the world forward. Carnegie gave away more than 90% of his fortune, around $350 million, which would be worth billions today. He could have built palaces, he could have bought islands, but instead he built hope. He planted seeds, and even now, over 100 years later, those seeds are still growing. So what was Carnegie's message to the wealthy? Don't die with your pockets full. Don't hide behind your inheritance. Don't wait for someone else to make a difference. Use what you have now to create something that lifts people up. That, he said, is the only path that leads to a truly as rich life. Giving is not enough. It must be wise. Giving away money sounds noble, but Andrew Carnegie believed something deeper. It's not enough to give. You must know how to give wisely. Many people think that charity is always good, that any donation, big or small, is a step toward kindness. But Carnegie had seen a different side of giving. He had seen what happens when generosity is done without thought, when people give money just to feel better, or to earn praise, or to avoid guilt. He warned that thoughtless giving can actually do more harm than good. Imagine a man on the street begging for money. If you give him a coin, you might feel generous for a moment. But what changes in his life? Is he now safe, strong, or free from poverty? Or will he be there again tomorrow, holding out the same hand? Carnegie wasn't being cold. He was being honest. He believed that real generosity does not come from emotion. It comes from vision. He said, "The best gift is not to the hand, it is to the mind." That's why he didn't support random handouts. He believed that giving should create opportunity, not dependence. It should lift people up, not hold them in place. Instead of handing out fish, you teach someone to fish. Better yet, you build a school that trains 100 people to become fishermen, teachers, or leaders. Carnegie believed in empowerment, giving people the tools to improve their own lives. He believed the wealthy should use their money to support public libraries, where the poor could educate themselves, schools and universities where young people could unlock their potential, research and science that could improve health and life for all, music, art and literature that could nourish the human spirit. But even then, he warned the rich not to try to control everything. Many wealthy people give money and then try to manage every part of the project. But Carnegie believed that once the gift is given, the giver should step back and trust professionals, teachers, scientists, doctors, artists to do the work. He didn't want to create monuments to himself. He wanted to create systems that would survive long after he was gone. And that's exactly what happened. Even today, over a century later, Carnegie libraries still stand across the world. More than 2,500 of them. Quiet places of learning, open to all, born not from ego, but from vision. He also founded institutions like Carnegie Mellon University, the Carnegie Foundation, the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. Each one built with care, and each one still shaping lives today. So what can we learn from this? That true giving is not about being seen. It's about making an impact. That real generosity is not in the gift, but in the outcome. That the greatest act of kindness is not to ease someone's pain for a moment. It is to give them the strength to rise for a lifetime.
The man who dies rich dies disgraced.
This is the line that shocked the world. The man who dies rich dies disgraced. At first it sounds strange, even offensive. In a world where people work their entire lives to earn, save, and grow their wealth, how could dying rich be seen as a failure? But Andrew Carnegie meant every word. To him, wealth was never meant to stay locked away in bank accounts. It was not a trophy to be admired or a fortress to hide behind. It was a tool, a responsibility, a test of character. Carnegie believed that if you lived your whole life with the power to help others, and you didn't, then you had wasted the greatest opportunity of all. He saw the rich not as owners of money, but as temporary stewards. They had been given the ability to earn more than they needed, not for their comfort, but for the betterment of the world. So when someone died with millions still sitting untouched by the world, untouched by kindness, Carnegie saw that as a kind of tragedy, that money could have changed lives, built schools, cured diseases, taught children, fed minds, inspired hope. Instead, it died with its owner, silent, useless. To Carnegie, that was disgrace. He wasn't asking people to live like saints. He didn't say the rich should give away every penny or live in poverty themselves. But he did say this: once your own needs are met and your family is secure, every extra dollar should be seen as a chance to serve. Because no matter how big your house is, no matter how many cars you drive or how many vacations you take, the only thing that truly remains after you're gone is the impact you had on others. Carnegie himself could have died the richest man on earth. But instead, by the end of his life, he had given away nearly everything, over 90% of his wealth. That's hundreds of millions of dollars. In today's value, over $5 billion, all gone, but not wasted, transformed into libraries, universities, foundations, peace organizations, and opportunities that still exist today. He proved that you don't need to die rich to live rich. His actions weren't just generous, they were revolutionary. He changed how people thought about giving. He inspired a new wave of philanthropy, from men like John D. Rockefeller to modern leaders like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. They too began to see wealth not as a prize, but as a promise. Now that you've heard the heart of the gospel of wealth, take a quiet moment and think. This wasn't just the story of a man who made millions. It was the story of a man who discovered something much greater, that wealth without purpose is empty. Andrew Carnegie spent the first half of his life earning money. He spent the second half giving it away. But in the end, what made him truly great wasn't his fortune. It was his vision. He understood that the real measure of a person is not what they keep, it's what they give. And here's the truth that matters most. You don't have to be a millionaire to live this way. You don't need millions to build something meaningful. You don't need fame to help someone rise. You don't need power to leave a legacy. Because wealth is more than money. It's your ideas, your time, your energy, your kindness, your voice. Each of us has something we can give, something that can lift, inspire, build, and heal. A small act of giving today can ripple through time and touch lives we may never even meet. Carnegie's words still speak to us, more than a century later, because in a world chasing more, he reminded us that enough is not about what we own, it's about what we do with what we have. So ask yourself now, what am I holding on to that could be helping someone else? What can I build today that will live beyond me tomorrow? Because no matter where you are in life, rich or poor, old or young, you have the power to make a difference. And that, perhaps, is the greatest wealth of all. Thank you for listening.